3. It has been a minute. Welcome back. What is going on, everybody? We're here. We're doing it. It's Filmstruck Film Club. Holy cow. It's been months. It's been literal months. I don't know about you. Life's been good. Life's been up and down like it always is. I have still been watching some great movies. We just haven't been watching them in the club, and I haven't been making these videos. But it was about time to unlock the treasure chest and get back in there. It is me, your friend, Carson Higgins, your other friend, Groot. We watch movies together. We chat about them with you. I tend to pick a movie every week when we are in business. And you are more than welcome to always, if you watch the movie before me, you're more than welcome to hit me up and shoot me a little what you thought of the film. You can attach your Letterboxd review if you want. If you have a Letterboxd and we haven't connected, let's get on there, baby. Letterboxd. It's the best. I love this place. We watched such a great movie this week, one that I've been meaning to watch for years, one that has not been available to stream pretty much anywhere, ever, until now. The master himself, William Friedkin, who passed away last year, he lived a wonderfully long life where he got to make a ton of great movies that we all know and love. But this is a film that up until very recently you couldn't really watch it anywhere, and the people at the Criterion Channel, to celebrate the man, have put out a William Friedkin collection of films on the Criterion Channel, and finally Sorcerer was available. So I had to get back in the old Batmobile. I don't fucking know what I'm talking about, and we had to watch this movie together because it was time. It was time to scratch it off the list. This film, Sorcerer, came out in 1977. If you know, I wasn't alive at the time, but check this out. My man William Friedkin came out with French Connection, wins a bunch of Oscars. He then, his next film, I don't know if it was his next film, anyway, makes The Freaking Exorcist, one of the biggest movies of that year, nominated for Best Picture, which is rare when you're a horror movie, and it's widely regarded as like probably the scariest movie ever made. This is a guy who is really good at making movies. He decides to remake The Wages of Fear, which is a film I'm not too familiar with. I've not seen it. After watching Sorcerer and doing a little bit of research about Wages of Fear, I even just watched the trailer for that movie, and I'm like, oh, that looks really good. So there's a reason that is a classic. Don't mind this noise over here. Check this out. Since we last saw each other, come on. He's in a bag. This is Archimedes. Oh, God. He doesn't like being on camera, but you're just going to have to deal with the fact that he's here. He's a really good boy. He just loves paper bags. Anyway, 1977, this movie comes out, and it suffered a little bit because it came out like a month or less after Star Wars. And when Star Wars came out, it was a pretty big freaking deal. And a lot of scholars and even William Friedkin himself have blamed the release of Star Wars and its magnitude of success on partly why this movie didn't do very well. Because it has since kind of been reclaimed as a masterpiece. A lot of people refer to it as Friedkin's best movie. I don't necessarily agree with that, but maybe I need to watch it a couple more times. Anyway, I was mentioning The Wages of Fear, which is something I'm going to check out because it looks awesome. But this movie was also pretty freaking rad. It's one of those movies that I've been into this, where I saw Guillermo del Toro recently in an interview mention about the way that we talk about films and how it usually goes something like, oh, what's that one about? And he was like, I hate that we only ever focus on like the plot and the characters, and that's what makes the movie good or not. And he talked about how, imagine if we did that with paintings, where it's like, oh yeah, I saw Van Gogh this weekend. Oh, what was it about? It was about a bedroom and like a window and a chair. I don't really like it. And it made an excellent point, because he was like, we always tend to talk about what the movie is about or what the characters are about, and we don't necessarily talk about style or how the movie makes you feel. This movie puts gray hairs on your head because it's a stressful event. I saw a terrific Letterboxd review that said it makes Uncut Gems look like a vacation slideshow. This movie starts off with very little dialogue. We are introduced to who will be our kind of foursome of characters that we're going to spend some time with. But they are in different parts of the globe, and they are getting various amounts of blood on their hands. figuratively and literally. We got one guy who robs a church. We got one guy who participates in a terrorist attack. We got one guy who's, maybe I'm wrong, but it looks like he's involved with like embezzling money or something like that. And then there's a guy who's seemingly just down to fuck shit up. He's crazy. But we are introduced to all these people, and this was another thing apparently I was reading about, where when the film came out, they had to put little like placards in the lobby that let people know just the first couple of scenes are in other languages, because there were subtitles, and for the first 15, 20 minutes there's no real English spoken. And so between whether or not you thought it was going to be like a scary supernatural film because of the title, or because of his previous work, The Exorcist, or maybe you just wish you were in the Cineplex next door watching Star Wars, you're like, what is this, French movie? I'm fucking out of here. So I think this movie just simply suffered from wrong timing. Had this come out any other part of the year maybe, or even the year before, the year after, maybe people would be talking about it in a whole nother way. But like I said, it has been reclaimed a bit, and many people think it's Friedkin's best work. There's a terrific score by the band Tangerine Dream. I'm not as familiar with them as I probably should be, but I do recall sitting and watching the movie and being like, this score is rad. And very early, I was just like, this music works for me, man. And separately, it was nominated for one Academy Award for Best Sound. And not unlike this most recent winner of Best Sound, The Zone of Interest, the sound is like a total extra character in the film. Notice how we've been talking for a while, and I never told you what the movie's about, because I'm sticking with Guillermo's idea of what's the movie like. And the movie is intense, because once we find out that these men have been hired to take on a very dangerous road trip, where they have to take very volatile dynamite boxes that have liquid, nitroglycerin, and this shit will just blow up if you move it wrong. So we got 4 dudes, 2 trucks, maybe 6 boxes of this shit, and we're trying to get through the jungle to deliver this dynamite. It is so intense, because you're kind of, for the first little while of the movie, you're kind of like, okay, cool, yeah, great, bad guys. What are we here for? That first scene where we're introduced to the dynamite, and that dude is just so slow and careful about each stick, and it's like you can hold your breath and not know what's gonna happen. Something is used so well in this movie, which is slow pace, because it's like turning a Jack-in-the-Box really slowly. It at any moment could just come on. But you're also looking at your watch like, well, we've got like an hour and a half left of this movie. I doubt it is going to blow up anytime soon. But man, there are some sequences in this movie, boy. Woo! I mean, the famous one, of course, is the one from the poster, which is this rickety suspension bridge in the middle of the jungle, where we've got to get these, not 1, but 2 trucks across the bridge with these boxes of nitroglycerin that could explode at any minute if they're moved too roughly. So yeah, that whole sequence of going across that effing bridge. I mean, is it comparable to the Psycho shower scene? I think so. It's an iconic, edge of your seat, hold your breath bit of cinema. And from what I hear, it was just as intense to shoot it. Friedkin said, like, what you see is how it went. And in fact, a couple of times the truck would tip over into the river and they'd have to reset the whole thing. So it was a pain in the ass. But yeah, there's also, we've been talking for a while, but there's something to this film that I think is important, which is I, for years, have seen this poster, which has very cool font, boom, Sorcerer, and this tipping truck. I did not know what this movie was like about. I don't think that you should really know too much about what it's about. You should just kind of go in and check it out and see for yourself. Towards the end, in the third act, I was starting to be like, oh, this is like 2001 Space Odyssey, where we're at the end of this journey, and now there is some really trippy shit going down. Roy Scheider, the main dude, if you want to call him that, is like hallucinating his last leg through this drive. You know, spoiler alert, I'm about to spoil some shit. If you want to watch this movie, watch it without knowing this. He's alone now, okay? If you catch my drift, he's alone and he's tripping balls. And it's like this weird psychotic break, maybe, or is it the mysticism of the land? It's not really made perfectly clear for the viewer, and that is the style that we're trying to talk about, because the best art lets you kind of interpret it your way. What do you get out of it? I was watching this movie, and the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, this feels like Friedkin visualizing how it feels to make a movie, where you set out to you have this game plan. We're going to take these trucks and we're not going to blow up, and we're going to get all the way to where we're going. And just roadblock after roadblock after roadblock after, like, be very careful, we can't fuck this up. All the way until probably the editing room, when you're the last guy there and you're watching this whole thing and you're just losing your mind, like, what have we done? All the way up to delivering it, getting the check in your hand, and feeling just fucking crazy from the experience you've just gone on, all to just be offered to do it again. And I'm like, man, it is, I guess you could compare it to life, or to really any line of work. But since this is a movie and he is a filmmaker, I couldn't help but feel like there was an element of, oh, this is what Friedkin thinks making a movie is like. And it was just crazy, man. There's plenty of films that kind of feel like this. Is it Aguirre? I don't know. The Herzog film? That's in the jungle. I also haven't seen Fitzcarraldo. Clearly, I don't know how to say any of this shit. But those films, even something like African Queen, or like, there's just movie Apocalypse Now, which comes out, 2 years after this film. There's a lot of times where we're on this impossible, the Lord of the Rings, impossible journey, and it's kind of like, it's about the journey, not the destination. This is sort of like one of those. Look at this. I'm so out of practice from doing these videos. I've talked your ear off, and I barely talked about anything. I hope you got a chance to watch this movie, because otherwise you just listen to a dude ramble for a couple minutes about a truck. But yeah, man, I'm just tickled pink that I finally got to watch this movie. It's always a nice feeling when you have a movie on your watch list and you finally get to put a little Sharpie mark through that thing. I love this movie. We're going to have another great movie for us to watch. If you want to keep up with us, the best way to do so is to follow us at Filmstruck Film Club, because that's where Groot and I are going to be talking about these movies. Be on the lookout. I'm going to be posting. We're doing this again. We're back in the rhythm, baby. We're putting them back out there. So enjoy yourselves. Happy, Tuesday? Oh yeah, happy Tuesday. Go have a taco. Love you.